Welcome to the John DeVito Show. Today is Thursday, and it is a very sad day here in New England. As many of you know, I broadcast live from Massachusetts. What some of you may not know is that I grew up in New Hampshire, and I've spent a lot of time in Maine over the course of my life. My wife went to school in Maine, up in Biddeford, and I have a lot of friends that live in Maine, and we spend summer vacations with a group of guy friends up in the Rangeley, Maine area. So I'm a person that absolutely loves the state of Maine. I think Maine is the most beautiful state that I've ever seen. And I am heartbroken today to hear about, again, the mass shooting with a 40-year-old Maine man by the name of Robert Card. There is a massive manhunt underway for this suspect right now in the state of Maine. And I'm going to read a quick article about him. I've got a few things pulled up on my computer that I want to talk about. So this is out of Boston. A massive manhunt is underway for Robert Card, the suspect in a Lewiston, Maine mass shooting that left at least 18 people dead and injured at least 13 more at two different locations. An arrest warrant has now been issued, charging Card with multiple cases of murder. So Robert Card is described as 5'11", weighing 230 pounds. His last known address was in Bowdoin, Maine. He attended the University of Maine as an engineering student, and it's not clear if Card graduated from the university or not. According to the Maine Department of Safety, Card is enlisted in the United States Army Reserve and has an active military ID. Authorities have stepped back their early reports that Card is a trained firearms instructor. Now, we're going to go into this part a little bit deeper, and we're going to talk about some of the issues that are at play here. Now, I know that everyone is going to be very quick again to jump on the fact that we have a gun problem in this country. And I'm not even here to debate the gun issue. The bottom line is guns are protected under the Constitution. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. And that is not something that is it's not constitutionally allowed to ban guns in this country. Now, there are a lot of people in this country, I'm one of them, that is a responsible gun owner. I have my license, my guns are secured properly, and to this date, none of my guns has ever stood up, walked out of the house, and killed anyone. Now, this is not to diminish what has happened in the state of Maine. What has happened in the state of Maine is honestly unthinkable. I don't even have the words to put it into a coherent description to describe the horrors that these people of Maine are feeling, the horrors of the families of these poor souls that were cut down by a person that had no right to own a gun. Now, let's dig deeper into that because a lot of people are going to be calling for more gun laws today. And I understand it. I get it. Every time this happens, I go through the different range of emotions also. I mean, I am more right wing than left wing. I am an NRA member. I am a gun owner. And when I see things like this happen, it makes me pause and it makes me think, are we doing enough in this country to keep people safe? But when you look past the gun issue, and I think we need to do that here, and we need to do that now. There are other components that are coming into play. Mr. Card had known mental health issues again. And we are seeing this time and time again with these shooters that are having mental issues, mental breakdowns. In the case here, Card actually spent 2 weeks in a mental facility this past summer, the summer of 2023. He was hearing voices that were telling him to kill people. Think about that. A couple of short months ago, we're in October. This could have been July. This could have been August. He was in a mental facility hearing voices saying that he needed to kill people. And this facility released him. Why are we releasing people like this into the world when they are known to have mental health issues. They're hearing voices telling them to kill people, and we release them back out into the general population. This, you can talk as much as you want about banning guns, but this is something, excuse me, that the people on the left don't want to talk about. But we have to talk about it. This is part of the problem. This is a major part of the problem. When you have people that are mentally ill, when you have people that are hearing voices that are telling them to kill people, we can't let these people roam around the streets freely. Now, a lot of people are saying that we need to pass new gun laws. And I get it, this comes up every time one of these mass murders happens. And I understand why people are saying that. It makes sense. I get it. But Maine already had a law in place for people that have been proven to have a mental illness or have been proven to have issues like Mr. Card did. They are not allowed to own guns. So my question is to the state of Maine and to whoever makes the decision to pull the gun, why weren't his guns pulled? This man has been seeking help. This man knew that he had mental problems. He admitted himself into a mental health facility looking for help. Now, we saw the same thing happen with that young mother in Massachusetts that murdered her children, and she's now going up on trial for murdering her children in Massachusetts. She was looking for help. She had postpartum depression. She could not get the help that she needed, and she ended up murdering her children. Here, we have another 18 people, at minimum, that have been murdered. And this person had a mental illness. People knew he had a mental illness. The state knew that he had a mental illness, and nothing was done. The state didn't take his guns away. We did not give him the services that he needed to help him so he would not carry out a murderous rampage like he did. So we can sit back, and the easy thing to do is to blame the gun, to blame the guns. I mean, if you have a person that's out in society and he's drunk driving and he gets behind the wheel of a car and he drives into a group of people and kills 10 people, are we going to blame the car, the tool for his damage? Or are we going to blame the fact that he was inebriated behind the wheel? He got behind the wheel when he should not have, and he killed people as a result. This is a very similar situation. I mean, obviously it's not apples to apples, but we have a man here who was mentally ill, who was seeking help, who was in a mental facility, and he still had the ability to carry a gun and kill multiple people. Why? Why is this happening? Why is our country not addressing the need that we have to help people with mental illnesses? Where is our government? Why are they not putting together the services that we need to prevent people like this from getting out into the general population and inflicting harm on other people? You know, you look at what Biden's done for the last 3 years. How many hundreds of billions have we sent to Ukraine? How much more are we going to send now and get in the middle of the Israel-Palestine conflict? How much money are we sending to other countries when we have battles at home that have yet to be fought and yet to have been won? This is a travesty. Why don't we have services for people in this country with mental illness? Why don't we have hospitals where these people can go and stay and get the help that they need and not set them out into the general population of this country to kill people? Now, not all people with mental illness do this. I go for walks in the city that's near me, and I walk in some fairly rough areas. And I see the homeless population that lives in this city. Many of these homeless people that are out on the streets, living in tents, living in cardboard boxes, they're not just drug addicted. Many have mental illness. And again, we're doing nothing to help these people. Our country is failing. Our country is failing Americans. Our country is failing to protect the American people. Our country is failing the mentally ill. And this man, if he had been put in a place that could have helped him and kept there, this tragedy would not have happened. If this man had his gun taken away from him, because in the state of Maine, that's the law, if you're proven to have a mental illness, they're supposed to take your guns away. They did not take his gun. Why? That would have prevented this situation. So for the people out there that are saying we need to ban the guns, we need to put more laws on the books, what we need to do is start to enforce the laws that we have on the books, because we are not enforcing the ones that we have. And if we had enforced this particular law, 18 souls most likely would not have left the planet last night. There would not be another 13 that is severely injured. And this isn't over yet, because they have not caught this individual yet. So, politicians are speaking out again, and presidential candidate Nikki Haley, who's a Republican, yes, I know, for those on the left that may be listening, she's a Trumper, she's a Republican, blah, 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 so, shall not be infringed, blah, 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 all that stuff. But she has claimed that the world is on fire in the wake of 2 shootings in Maine, citing the shootings as a further need for the United States to address mental health issues. My friends on the left, I love you. I care about you. I know we have political differences. But you need to start listening to some of these people that are telling you that mental illness is part of the problem. This should not be a political argument. So Nikki Haley goes on further to say, the shootings on Wednesday have left dozens of people injured, and at the time of this article, it said 16 people dead. Of course, as we know, there are 18 people that are now dead. Robert Card, 40, has been identified by the Lewis Police Department as a person of interest, and the public has warned that he should be considered armed and very dangerous. So my friends up in Maine, please be careful. So Nikki Haley went on Hannity last night, and she said again, the world is on fire. I mean, we see it with worlds around the world. We see it in our schools. We see it with protests on college campuses. Excuse me. We're seeing it here. But what does this come down to? We have got to start really getting focused and serious. This means we need serious law and order. This means we need to defund sanctuary cities. And this means we need to acknowledge the cancer in America that is mental health. It is a cancer. It is a cancer. In this country, as I did a show a couple days ago, we have seen the moral decay in our country. We have seen people have turned away from God. They have turned to social media. They've turned to Netflix and television. They've turned to all these different gods to look at and to follow. You've got 15-year-old girls shaking their asses on TikTok and other places. You've got these people that have just lost respect for elders. They've lost respect for authority figures. They've lost respect for themselves. They've lost respect for society. There is no belief anymore in anything good. The belief now is in all things bad. So we see an erosion of moral character in this country. And now we are seeing a complete lack of acknowledgement that we have a severe mental health problem in this country. And the mental health issue is a cancer in this country. Now, if you say take away the guns, suppose tomorrow we banned all the guns, all right? We banned them all. No AR-15s, no handguns, no anything. The government takes them away. So no one in this country has guns, right? How is that going to stop mentally ill people from inflicting damage? They can use knives. They can use machetes. They can use crossbows. They can use bow and arrows. They can use automobiles by crashing into people. They can use pressure cookers to create bombs, like in the Boston Marathon bombing. They can use airplanes to crash into buildings, to kill thousands of people. If we take away the guns it is not going to solve the problem of mental health and the need for these mentally ill to inflict harm and damage and murder on people. So this is a hard podcast for me to do because I am literally heartbroken right now. I have not seen the names of the people in Maine, and I hope to God that it's nobody I know because I know a lot of people in Maine. I know a lot of people in Maine. Maine is a wonderful state with wonderful people, salt of the earth, real people that would give you the shirt off their backs if you ask them. You don't get a better sort of people than you get in the state of Maine. And the people of Maine do not deserve this. No one deserves it. But it's just heartbreaking to see, again, another senseless tragedy of someone that needed help, asked for help, couldn't get help, and finally caved to the voices in their head that were telling him to kill people. The voices were there. He sought help. He went to a mental health facility. He was there for 2 weeks and they let him out. If they hadn't let him out, if they had placed him someplace else where he could get the help that he needed, maybe this issue with therapy and medication could have corrected the issues this man had in his head. And I'm not concerned about this man. I mean, he is what he is now. He's probably going to, I would imagine, die as the police pursue him. But there are a lot of innocent people that just went out to bowl, went out to play pool, went out to have a couple of drinks, and went out to have a good night out. And they were cut down by a man who was mentally ill, who should have not been on the streets and should not have had a gun. And he should have been getting the help that he needed. So I don't have much more to say about this. I felt like I needed to get on and address this. And for the people out there that are going to come at me and yell at me saying, it's a gun problem. I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy where we could just say, take all the guns. There'll be no violence. But I don't believe that will fix the problem. I don't believe it will. I believe it's deeper. We have to get to the core of the issue. We have to get to the root of the problem. We have to get to what is causing people to act out, to grab a gun, to inflict damage, to drive a car into a group of people, killing them, to use pressure cookers to kill, to use other types of bombs and weapons to kill. It's not the tool. It's the person behind the tool and what is causing that person to break down and go this wrong and kill people. Until we get to some type of solution to the core of the problem, this is never going to go away. Our government needs to step up and pass sweeping reform in the mental health industry to make sure that someone like this Robert Card isn't able to walk the streets again while being mentally ill with a weapon in his hands, killing innocent people. For the people in Maine, I love you. I mean this to the core of my heart. I am sorry. I know that thoughts and prayers don't help, but I have been literally praying for you all morning. I will continue to pray for you. I know it doesn't help, but I want you to know that I am here, I am thinking of you, and I am sorry for what you went through and what you're going through. And I hope to God that our country makes the changes that it needs to make sure that this never happens again to another family, another person, another soul. God bless all of you for tuning in today. Thank you for tuning into a very somber John DeVito show. I'm sad like everybody else today. And I know that something needs to be done to stop this from happening. And hopefully the powers that be get off their backsides and do something to prevent this and pass sweeping mental health across our country. It's needed. All right, everybody, take care. Try to have a great day. I love you. And thank you for tuning in to the John DeVito Show.